Rome has often been called the Eternal City. But did you know that in the 1st century AD, it was also the literary capital of the world? The city's library, the so-called Solution, housed hundreds of thousands of scrolls and was the single greatest repository of written literature in the Mediterranean. And while we might think of Athens as the birthplace of literary studies focusing on things like poetry and grammar, it was actually Rome where the first professional humanists appeared, scholars whose entire life's work was devoted to the study of letters. His father, Lucius Aelius Lampadio, had been freed by Emperor Augustus and achieved a certain amount of wealth and prominence, enough to send his son to the finest schools in Rome. It was considered the most important subject for anyone who wished to play a significant role in public life. The profession was looked down upon because it attracted lots of foreigners and slaves, and it was poorly paid. Still, in 45 BC, he set up a school near the Forum, the center of Roman public life, and soon built up a reputation for being an excellent teacher. And so, upon completing his course of studies, the young Aelius Stylo set out to teach others what he had learned himself. When Vespasian came to power in 69 AD, he appointed Stylus to run the Imperial Library, an institution created by his predecessor, Nero, but neglected ever since. Under his supervision, the library flourished, becoming the single greatest collection of literature in the ancient world. At its peak, it held some 20,000 titles by over 370 authors, most of them Greek, but also many Roman and a few Egyptian. Together, they contained more than 400,000 individual rolls. It was in this position that he earned the title of the first humanist in Roman history. So intense was this concentration of intellectual energy that the library became known as the Second Athens. Little is known about his early life or education, but we can be sure that he studied rhetoric, the art of effective communication, both written and spoken, which was one of the core subjects in the curriculum of classical education. That last part is probably because of a famous character from Harry Potter, a character who shares not just a name but also a profession with our subject today. And at the center of this revolution was the work of one man, the first humanist in Rome, Lucius Aelius Stylo. And finally, rhetoric, a system designed to produce the well-rounded Renaissance man. In rhetoric, he would have studied the major genres, the deliberative speeches aimed at influencing political decisions, the judicial ones aimed at winning trials, and the ceremonial kind, including panegyrics and funeral orations. He would have learned how to construct an argument, how to persuade an audience, and how to deploy the various figures of speech, such as metaphors and similes. Like Albus Dumbledore, Lucius Aelius Stylo was a teacher, albeit not of the magical variety. He was rather the first professor of rhetoric in the history of classical antiquity, which makes him a philologist by our definition. And at the center of this revolution was one man, Lucius Aelius Stylo. But who was he and why does his name sound strangely familiar? He was born in 80 BC to a family of freedmen, which is to say his parents were formerly slaves. He would have learned the standard 5-year cycle beginning with grammar, moving on to poetry, history, philosophy. Rhetoric was the highest form of education in the ancient world, the ultimate test of one's training and culture. It was a risky career choice. Teaching was not considered a proper occupation for a Roman gentleman. His real claim to fame, however, came when he caught the attention of one of his students, the future emperor and first Flavian, Vespasian. We don't know exactly what his duties entailed, but it's safe to say that he spent a great deal of time reading and organizing books. This treasure trove soon attracted scholars from all over the empire, eager to consult its collection or even just to bask in its scholarly atmosphere. Like Athens in the Golden Age, Rome had become the center of the classical world, attracting the brightest minds from all over the Mediterranean. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe for more.